because there'll always be that tension between the system and its needs and the leadership and the people that it serves and its needs. And so I guess that's where I'm at. I don't know. I wanted to go with that. There is pain involved in realizing all of this for everyone.
Sure.
The dangerous mic is coming.
I wanted to make one last comment, and then I actually have to leave. One of the beautiful things about Martin Luther King was that, if you all saw the movie Selma, he talked about drama. But what he did was he brought people together in two ways. One, he let people see the violence and the hatred that was aimed at him and the people who were working for civil rights. It was all broadcast on television, so people in Minnesota, California, or in Europe, wherever they were, saw what was happening and said, "What, this is happening here?" And they got excited and they got involved. And, bringing valid to the white power structure, they started to complain and say, wait a minute, they were the populists who voted people in to office. And the other thing was he invited everyone to come and support the civil rights cause, because it's an issue that affects all humanity. And so he invited everyone. He wasn't, everybody could get involved. They were accepted and they were valued. So I think every time we try to create, and I think we've seen that in Ferguson, we've seen that where groups are inspired by what's going on and they want to become involved. So I think that a lot has to do with letting people see television and the internet now are wonderful tools to promote a cause. And so I think we always have to keep in mind a sense of unity, not disunity. As you say, being for something doesn't mean you're against another thing, and we can all be for that same thing.
It's interesting, if I may just wax historically, okay? If I may wax historically. That's the same argument. This, not being pro-black doesn't mean you're anti-white. That's the same argument that I heard in 1960s. The exact same argument. It's like it's revisited itself. And it's amazing that we have yet to, it's frustrating on one hand, and it's amazing on the other hand that we have yet to come to terms with that and put that position away for good, because it has no validity to it. And so here we are revisiting the exact same argument, that exact same discussion that we had, that we had, my generation had, okay, when I was your age, okay, in the 60s and the 70s. The exact same argument, almost word for word, that just because you're pro-black doesn't mean you're anti-white. I think we need to address that issue at its very psychological core and dismantle it once and for all. Because I think what happens is a lot of these movements that have taken place historically, if you look back, they were surface approaches. There was not a focus on patient, long-term eradication and examination and eradication of certain strategies and what have you. Because these problems happen over a period of centuries. So to expect that they will be eradicated within a generation or a few years is actually unrealistic. And so what a lot of us did during that time, we went from one thing to another thing. We jumped around, okay? And we didn't really focus on really deep, penetrating, permanent, long-lasting solutions and strategies over the long term. Okay. Once the excitement died down, then we went to our other livelihoods and what have you, and the community lost ground, and we allowed, and then other negative cultural influences came in, like drugs and so forth and so on, to come in. And so rather than addressing long-term, patient, looking at the long road ahead, okay, systematic changes, we just dealt with things superficially for the most part, looking back in retrospect. So here we are, 2015, revisiting the same arguments, having the same arguments we had 40 years ago, 50 years ago. So we have to ask ourselves, are we going to have this argument again in another 50 years when your children and grandchildren are having the same discussion? Or will we have a different discussion altogether?
Well, I think we can say that the discussion is somewhat different now because we have what we call, we didn't have, did we have die-ins before? Did we used to have die-ins?
So there are all kinds of, and even though we're like wrapping up, we got to wrap this up and do a final. But there's something I was with ran into Abdul at Papillon, and we were eating dinner. He was having his, and I was having mine. And he said something to me about, can you believe this? How do you have a movement that says hands up, don't shoot? Before, when they used to, people, rather than have your hands up like that, people had a fist with their hand up. Yeah. But then, that struck me, and he was like, "You never thought about that?" I'm like, "No, I hadn't." And thinking about when Wayne asked, "What is black leadership?" I guess it's all of that. There's one approach there. The youth out there, they use Twitter and Instagram and get their news that way. There are those of us who are still reading books. Some people actually still have newspapers in their home. But there are all these different voices out there. And all those voices, speaking of diversity, all of those voices should get a chance to be heard. There's no one way. But what we saw from the civil rights movement, there were a myriad of ways, right? There were the students that sat in, the people that just marched, the Malcolm X's and the black conscious leaders that provided, food for our thought and brain and empowered us within. So here we go. That's the way we go. And then now we're having new educational organizations to help our children, this beautiful, wonderful community, be even better. So I'm going to let, hold on, Anselm, look at him. I'm going to let TJ wrap this up for me, because you're going to do the final commercial. And, we do have to ask the people at the rack to give a little plug for themselves. And that'll be it.
Well, okay.
I'll go get it.
Hey, TJ, she wants to say hi to Seth Boyden. Would that be okay?
Yes, we want to have
it really good.
Hi, Seth Boyden.
You gotta say your name.
Hi, Seth Boyden. It's Maya.
Shout out to Seth Boyden.
And that was Maya sending a shout out to Seth Boyden.
Thank you, Maya. And we just want to have a quick plug from the RAC, the owners, people who sponsored us and
We
hosted
give
us
them a
today.
hand, please, for this.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning. What are we supposed to
This is a free commercial.
Okay,
This is a free commercial.
We are the owners of the Rack. We're located 1844 Springfield Avenue in Maplewood, New Jersey. We are a Wi-Fi internet cafe. We do serve breakfast and lunch and a variety of baked goods and coffee beverages, hot chocolate, that sort of,
In a nice, cozy, comfortable atmosphere. I love it here. This is my favorite place.
So we have couches and recliners and tables and chairs.
You got to tell people how to get in contact with the RAC. Because people are listening.
Phone number.
Got to give a phone number and an email address.
Our webpage just went up. It's therackccs.com. Our Facebook page is The Rack Cafe. And our phone number is 973-327-2353. We're also on Instagram.
You got to do that again.
Phone number 973-327-2353.
Okay, and the address?
1844 Springfield Avenue, Maplewood, New Jersey.
Okay. There you have it.
Thank you.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the owners of the RAC over here at 1844 Springfield Avenue, sponsoring this Get Out the Fun and Soma MLK Day here. I must tell you, the food is fantastic. It smells good. It looks good. Marjorie had a bacon and a pork fried duck.
Okay, as we close out, we just wanted to remind everyone in the listening audience why we were here today. Besides celebrating the memory and the ideas of Martin Luther King, this is our first public event for the Get Out Foundation. The Get Out Foundation is a local organization that exists to support black students in South Orange and Maplewood to have a variety of experiences outside of the community. We will have community events in the coming months, and what we need is for everyone to keep us in mind, check us out on Facebook, support the events when you can so that we can raise the funds to really support our students in the community. Thanks again, and we want to turn it back over to Anselm.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's the first, Get Out the Fun, MLK, co-sponsored by the South Orange Maplewood Online Radio Experience and the Get Out Fun. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out here tonight. This morning. You had a really wonderful turnout, and as we normally say, I'm going to try to get Margie. Can you come and get some closing words?
No, I don't have any closing words.
Margie doesn't have any closing words.
Thanks for listening, and this should be podcast. And thank everyone for coming. For all the great distinguished people are here today. Thanks, including yourself, Anselm.
Thank you. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. From where I sit, this is it. The clock on the wall says that's all. I like to say that I've got to go. Remember, hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard. And for every 60 seconds of anger, you lose 1 minute of happiness. See you. Same so more time, same so more channel. Later.